Anytime I'm really helping a student with anything, I record. So it's just a screencast. So again, this is our first face-to-face session, and really the only full group face-to-face session. But if you are trying to get to Schoology, you can go to worthington.k12.oh or whatever that whole stuff is. Go to the Worthington website, then log into your cloud, your portal. And then, and if you haven't done this, I would highly advise doing this. If Schoology doesn't show up in your favorites, I would go find Schoology, which for some reason is in my account. Right-click and add it to your favorites. If you watch my one video, you've probably already done that. From there, you can click on Schoology, and it will take you there. It may ask you to type in your login info again. Your home page is like Facebook or Twitter or whatever. It's got a feed of whatever's going on in the classes that you're part of. I am part of some other groups in Schoology, like teacher groups. Blended Learning is the one that often has lots of stuff going on. But what you want to do then is go to the Math 1 course. If you are not in it, you would click Join right here and use the course code, and you get to Math 1 that way. You'll always land on the updates page, because as things happen, like let's say Xavier's working on something this week and we work on something and I realize, like, oh man, this isn't very well explained in the notes. I might put an update here. Hey, by the way, in the 6.5 notes, I forgot to explain da-da-da, whatever. You want to look at the updates every time you log in. If you've not looked at this update where it kind of crash courses you in Schoology, you are going to want to look at this so that you familiarize yourself with everything that's on the Schoology page. But go ahead, and you can navigate with me on your computer if you want. So go ahead and click on Materials over here on the left-hand side. You'll notice that once you're in a course, the right-hand side of your page is like an upcoming feed. Every grade that we are going to have in this class is already posted in this upcoming feed. So there is no homework grading for chapters 1 through 4, but starting in chapter 5, you have to turn in your notes completed and your homework at least halfway done, meaning choose evens or odds. I would encourage you, if at the point of doing evens or odds you're still kind of iffy, do the rest of them. Because there's no point in just saying, well, I did the evens. I still don't get it, but I did the evens. Like, you're here because you want to learn. You have to hold yourself accountable. Like, we are not going to stand over you and say, you have to do this. We're going to hand you back a grade and say, here's what you got. Like, you have to motivate yourself here. So you kind of got to switch your brain from the normal view of, like, teachers are going to kind of be on you and make sure, like, if you don't do an assignment, you just don't get the points for that assignment. If we pass that due date, a 0 will go into the grade book until you turn in that assignment, or if you never do, that 0 sits in the grade book. So right here is an intro video to Schoology. Not going to have us watch that here because you can watch that on your own. We'll pretty much never just watch videos in here. That would be pointless. You guys can just plug in headphones and do that on your own. You never should be coming here. Well, you never have to come here just to do your coursework, like your lessons, your videos, your homework. You don't have to do any of that here. The only stuff you have to do here is take assessments. Now, you can come in and use this space to work, but you need to arrange that with us. Because Mrs. Tecklenburg and myself have limited hours in our contract, we only plan to be here Tuesdays, Wednesdays, and Thursdays. There's just not enough hours in our contract for us to be here outside of that. We'll both be here on Tuesdays, assuming that lots of people will probably be here. You do not need to make an appointment for Tuesdays. I'm going to say this again because I've had this question multiple times. Tuesdays are open, no appointments necessary. Okay, just 9 to noon is our work session. I'm going to try to be here by 8 every time because I know some parents work early and they got to drop you guys off. And the doors are open. But 9 to noon is the official session. But on Tuesdays, we'll just assume that we're going, from 8 to noon. Beyond that, you will sign up right here using the office hour sign-up link. If you are not signed up, you may not be able to get help. Because if there are already 5 or 6 kids signed up ahead of you, and our time is taken up helping them. Now, if you need help on the same stuff, sweet. We can help you guys at the same time. We can do stuff on the board. Totally fine. Especially if you get that math ally or whatever you want to say, so that you guys are working on the same stuff at the same time. Make an office hours appointment together. So when you go here, this is a live Google Doc. Can somebody do me a favor? Does it work? Yeah. Okay. So you can, from right here, type in whatever. So this is Mesian, and I can see actively like what box she's looking at. But I just put an example one here, right? So if any of you guys want to come tomorrow, and don't decide this right now, like don't have a rush on this, but you would just add yourself to this list. If you get to the point that you're the last line here, obviously, well, hopefully you guys know how to work Google Sheets. You would want to probably add another line, do like insert one above or one below. But if we get to that point, you might want to reach out to one of us and say, hey, should I come? Like, are there too many people signed up? Should I still sign up? With the amount of boxes that we put in here, like, this would be a lot of kids if we fill this. Because I think we left 10 spaces. Yeah, with mine counted right here. So that's like half the class. Yeah.
But also, can you scroll over? Because there's a spot where we ask you, what do you want to work on? So if you look and maybe 5 other people have questions on the same topic, right, then we won't be doing one-on-one. We may be meeting with a group of 5 or 6 people that have the same questions. Okay, so if it's full, don't just like totally forget about it and not come in. Do a little more research. Look and see what is everyone else coming in for. Is it similar to mine? Or maybe a lot of people are coming in just because they want a quiet place to work, which means Mr. Hudson or I would still be available to work with you. Okay, so I wouldn't totally be scared off if it's full. Look on, because also we aren't good resources for you. Your classmates will be good resources for you as well in here.
And what that might turn into then is like, because this week, most of you guys are probably going to be working on Chapter 5 and Chapter 6 stuff between like this week and next week. What that might turn into is if a lot of people have questions on Chapter 5, I might say, okay, at 9 on Wednesday, we're working on Chapter 5. At 10 on Wednesday, we'll work on some Chapter 6. Like, we might just determine. So if you know you need to work on Chapter 6, you might say, okay, well, I don't need to be there until 10 then. Like, if they're going to focus just on Chapter 5 in that earlier time, I don't want to sit there and listen to that stuff. Or you can hang out in the library. We've got other classrooms accessible to you. But you being in our class, you can't be here unless one of us is here. Because you have to have a responsible adult in the building. It's that whole, like, legality thing. So yeah, please use this. And you'll notice, and I'll try to delete these, but I don't know how well I'll stick up on that. All of our dates are here already. So week 2, week 3, everything is in here. And then on the further weeks, I don't have examples here. You just fill in whatever you need. So if you're coming that Wednesday or Thursday, we really can't do office hours on Monday or Friday. There just aren't available hours. If we get further into the summer and we need to try to figure that out, we can. I'm actually going to drag that down, try to lock that top part. Yeah, I'll do that on all those in a bit. So that is how you sign up for office hours outside of Tuesdays. Okay. So then back on the materials page, hopefully most of you have seen the crash course, but if you are working on chapters 1 through 4, there are not official lesson videos for each of those. There are not official notes that you have to do, but there's still a lot of help tools. So the biggest issue that people always have with chapter 1 is solving absolute value equations and inequalities. There are examples of that right down here. So some graphing. I've had some tests already having issues with this, of graphing inequalities, whether we can have it together or whether it has to be split, whether it's an and situation or an or situation. So please think about reviewing that before you turn in your tests. But then right here, every absolute value equation or inequality should have 2 answers or 2 different answer ranges. If you're solving absolute value equations just like a regular equation, you're not doing it right, because it's not a regular equation, it's an absolute value equation. We have to look at both the positive option and the negative option, and they solve out to be 2 different things. Not just like positive 7, negative 7, it's a completely different answer. So please be cautious on that. Ask us for help on that if you need. In every single folder, chapter folder, there's a folder called Help Me. As you guys start working through stuff and as you start asking questions, this Help Me folder will be where we put the collection of things related specifically to that chapter. So from past years, students have asked about solving a 1-variable equation and a 3-variable equation. So this, on your test, when it says like isolate for z, and there's 2 different test versions, so be aware of that. This goes through that process of how would we do that. And sometimes it's a huge help on the test. Factoring, right? Distributive property and how that works backwards with factoring. Working through expressions and equations. More equations and inequalities. And this relates to that quiz 2, which was like a practice thing. You could have used that as a checkpoint, see, am I ready for the test? So check those Help Me folders to see, is there already an answer to the question that I'm asking? Anytime you click on the course, you just are taken back to the updates page, so you'll have to re-navigate to materials. Beyond chapter 1, or beyond the first 4 chapters, chapter 5 is where your real new learning starts, which most of us should be working on that, or chapter 6 right now. Sometimes there are textbook excerpts which relate to the content. So this is like a digital textbook called CK12. Yeah. This sometimes relates to our content. You do not have to view that. Those are just like add-ons that we throw in there. I have gone through and designed, and Mrs. Tecklenburg just jumped on summer school this year, so that's why I kind of keep talking the possessive me. I've made these in the past 2 years, and now, thankfully, Mallory's here to help us. So this is what I've written. Really what you want to care about is the brief overview and the images. I put the state standards here, so you could do an easy copy-paste. So controls, if you copy instead of click. So if I grab that and control C, I could now go find help by Googling the standard. If I know the specific standard that I need help on, that's going to be a much better way to Google search than just searching like equations or whatever word you're dealing with. Keywords are bad. Like, I mean, they're great, but they don't necessarily get you what you want. This is going to be exactly what you're looking for. And you could even just do like, that is the actual standard, or you could just type in like high school math or things like that. But all of these are going to be more directive. Illustrative Mathematics is a great website. There's a lot of good stuff out there, and we have a page of extra links and everything there. So this is inside the Chapter 5 folder. Right? There's your Help Me folder again. So it'll help me with the videos from the previous people in the course, any questions that they'd asked. And then, of course, the specific videos related to each section. Starting in Chapter 5, we have discussion boards for every chapter. I used to require this, but then people were just posting the discussion board as like, hey, I'm all good on Chapter 5 stuff, thanks. And that was kind of pointless. So if you need help, if you want to reach out and maybe like you're ahead of the curve, like if you're already working on like Chapter 7 or 8 or 9 or anything like that, you're way ahead of where the rest of us are. So maybe you're not like urgently needing help. You just want to post up here like, hey, I'm struggling with whatever, and be specific. So like, I'm in lesson 5.3, or I'm on, 5.3 homework, question 7. Like, be specific with your request. But this is stuff from the previous years. I leave it here so you guys can benefit from that too. So if you see a classmate has posted and you're able to help them out, that would be awesome. And then if you post a question and you get it figured out before I see it, please let me know so I don't spend my time trying to help you on something that doesn't need taken care of. So those discussion boards are in every chapter, starting in Chapter 5. Use those at your leisure. And that should pop up in your updates up here. This is, just like on Facebook or whatever, your updates is this little like satellite tower. Yeah, that shows you what's going on. So inside each individual section, the notes are here accessible, but also back in the filing cabinet. Homework is here accessible, but also back in the filing cabinet. The video can be watched straight from this website. No need to go to YouTube. Or, I mean, you can go to Khan Academy. If you're struggling with stuff, you can go use Khan Academy. But once you go to YouTube, the biggest issue, and I get it because it does it to me too. What's the issue once I've gone to YouTube?
It doesn't work. No one connection.
It works. This is my video. It's this video.
No Wi-Fi.
Ads and clickbait. Man, when I get done watching this video, oh, look at this TED Talk. More adventures in replying to spam. This guy's funny. I'm going to go. And then all of a sudden, it's an hour later, and you haven't done any math. So be very cautious. I'm telling you now, avoid YouTube when possible. Stay in Schoology so you don't have that clickbait. And even now, YouTube has taken their game to the next level. When a lot of times it pops up those like extra 3, like they're trying to get you everywhere. So please ignore the clickbait. With the video lessons, please watch through them at whatever pace you want. You can speed them up, you can slow them down, you can turn on closed captioning. I've told sometimes it's funny and sometimes it's accurate. But if you need help understanding, you can turn that on. And it's a chalk talk. So if you haven't kind of gotten familiar with any of these, as the video goes, you'll see what I write on the notes. So we go through and we solve the notes together, and there will be checkpoints in the notes where I say, okay, pause the video and try this on your own. See if you can do this skill. If you can't, we need more practice. So when I say that, please respect that. Like, pause the video and try it on your own. Otherwise, you're only selling yourself short. Because, again, it's all, you got to hold yourself accountable here. I'm not with you as we do the notes. I'm not with you as we're doing the learning. I'm only with you when we're taking the assessments or when you come in to get help. So please watch those videos and fill in your notes and then work on those homework assignments. Back in the Chapter 5 folder and in every Chapter 5 folder, all the way at the bottom, answers to practice. Also, a lot of times I've thrown one of the test versions up here, which might end up being the test you take. I mean, if so, I don't care. All you have to do is come in and show me that you know how to do it. Right here, and I need everybody's attention at this point because this gets complicated. This is not immediately the answers to your homework. The answers to your homework are spaced out. So if you start scrolling through this document, you're looking for the same header as your homework assignment. So practice, right? And then check, am I looking at the right form? Once you've done the homework assignments, and I would say once you've done a section even, once I get this first section with simplify each expression, check, did I get those answers right? If not, I should not keep going on. I need to figure out what I'm doing wrong. I need to fix my errors before I continue to practice using the wrong skill set. The biggest thing I want to show you about checking your answers, once I know where it starts, so notice we're on page 6, this homework will be pages 6 and 7. But the quick way I can get to the next homework, they should normally be 10 pages apart. So if I turn this into page 16, it should be the next practice assignment. And I jumped into the middle of the next practice assignment, but it's the next practice. If I turn it to page 25 or 26, it should be the next practice assignment. So sometimes they're only 9 pages apart from each other. You can also just scroll down through the document looking for it. And the other thing that this document's really good for, I mean, you can open it in its own tab, you can download it, you can open it separately. If you're having any struggles, this works through a lot of extra help tools that the textbook company gave you. So this is like your parent function of an exponential function, a times b to the x. What is a? What is b? And it's talking about all that stuff. If you need assistance, look through this answer key and see what it can do to help you. Okay, what is this actually showing? Why is this set up like it is? Okay, so 800 was the original, right? And you can kind of delve into that and get some more information out of the things that we didn't even do, like these performance tasks or whatever. We're not requiring those because we don't have enough time, but they can be very helpful to you. So use the answer key as another resource to help you out as you go through your learning. Do we have any questions at this point? The intro folder's right here. I'm going to make sure that we all go over the syllabus in just a moment. I wonder if I have enough copies of that still. We gave it out at the intro meeting. Yeah.
So we only have to do like 1 out of 2 questions for the homework, but we have to do all the questions for the notes, or is it?
So the notes need to be completed at the point that you are comfortable.
Oh, okay.
So you cannot turn in notes with just like your name and say, well, I was comfortable. I need to see that you've worked through it and solved some of the practice problems on there with my video, like for accuracy with my video, so you know you did it right. But if you don't need to do every single question on the notes, you don't necessarily have to. Really, your notes, I just give you the points if you did them. I'm not looking for did you answer every single question, did you fill in every single section. But then, if you do poorly on the assessment, we're going to go back and look at your notes and have a conversation like, okay, when you were learning this, how was it that you were holding yourself accountable? How did you know that you knew the stuff? Why are there these gaps? So, I mean, realize that if you turn in notes with gaps in them, that can come back and bite you in the butt if you don't do well on the assessment. Does that make sense? Yeah. So I'm not going to immediately take points off, but it might be kind of part of the investigation of, okay, you did poorly on the assessment. Let's go dig in and find out why. Mm-hmm. And we're going to talk about revisions here in just a moment, too. Any questions at this point? Take a minute, because I don't think I have enough syllabi copied. Take a minute and just poke around Schoology. Click around all over the place. Try to confuse yourself so you can ask the question now. Okay, so dig and go. Folders inside of folders, inside of folders. Like, play around for just a couple minutes so we can deal with any of those situations. I might actually have enough of these. Three short. So real quick, because I just had the question, let's talk paper materials and how you access those. So everything is available on Schoology. You can print at home. Chromebooks don't print here, but the desktops out in the lab do. Or back here in this file cabinet, most things are already printed for you, but as we are starting a new year, I'm figuring out how much I need to send. I try to be as green as possible, so I don't like sending lots and lots of copies that may not end up getting used. So especially if you're here with me like during office hours, I'll just print stuff like in the moment. But you can see the drawers are labeled, Summer School Math 1, Chapters 1 through 8. When you open this, everything's tabbed out, like 5.1, 5.2. But now, as of this morning, we created packets for everything Chapter 6. So if you need anything Chapter 6, just grab those 2 packets and that's everything. Back here in the 5.1, 5.2, 5.3, each folder has the homework in the notes in the front and the homework in the back of the folder. So you grab one sheet from the front, one sheet from the back, and that's everything you need for 5.1. You do the same for 5.2. Because I had it that style because in the past students had wanted a binder and different kids wanted to organize it different ways, so I just kept them sectioned out. Now we've just decided to make packets, so I think some of the future stuff will just be making packets as well. And if you have not yet completed the chapters 1 through 4 tests, they're right here in the first 4 chapters, or the first 4 folders just labeled Chapter 1, Chapter 2, Chapter 3, and Chapter 4. These tests may leave this classroom. These are the only tests that may leave this classroom. But because Chapters 1 through 4 are some overlap with Math 8 and some content that we're trying to get through very quickly, we don't have the lessons for those, and we just take questions as needed and fill gaps as needed. So we know that you guys are coming from a lot of different classrooms, a lot of different situations that led you here. You're going to have gaps in different places. And do not have any shame in the fact that you have some gaps in your learning. That's nobody's fault. It's just the fact that, it might be your teacher's fault. But, well, it might, come on. Not every teacher is as good as us. But we want to help you fix this. The problem is, now there's the old saying, you don't know what you don't know. Well, especially, we don't know what you don't know. So you have to identify, I need some help with this, and reach out to us. We are more than happy to help you. That's the reason we're doing this. The whole point of this summer school class is just to help you guys. So I love that we offer up this opportunity for kids to get ahead, and a lot of you sound like you're self-motivated, but it's on you. Like, we're not going to say, I will start bugging you, like, hey, you're behind schedule, you haven't turned in things for Chapter 5, but, that's it. I'll tell you once, and I don't want to pester you guys. That is not why I signed up for this class. I am not here to bug you. I'm not here to ruin your summer. I'm not here to make you work all summer, but if you pace this out and you just get yourself on a schedule, it's completely manageable. Last year I had a student finish before the 4th of July week that we have off. She finished everything. Done with the course. Got 97. Awesome. Yeah, she did amazingly. Also, every year I have students not pass. So both ends of the spectrum, you could work quickly and do great and get through all the content. And, if you drag your feet, or if you weren't actually the one motivated to be here, or you're not motivated to complete the work, it could not go well. So the syllabus, if you want a digital copy of that, that's right here in the Welcome to Summer Get Ahead Blended Math 1, and the link. So let's go over this really quickly because you are going to sign this and bring this back at your leisure, but needs to be signed by you and your parents. And then do not bring me back the whole syllabus. You can even just take a picture that it's signed and send it to me. But all I want to do is see that it's signed. If you bring me back the whole syllabus signed, I'm not going to take it. I'm just going to look at it, put a documentation in my spreadsheet, and then give it back to you because I want you to keep this. If you want to cut this off at the bottom and bring it back, that's okay. It's only going to affect a tiny bit of the grading paragraph on the front. So be aware, you don't have to cut it off. I just have to have, I have to see that you've gone over it with your parents and that both of you guys signed. So let's start at the beginning. So curriculum comes from Pearson's Integrated Math 1 textbook. So if you are looking for it, that's where our text actually comes from. But we do not use a textbook. This class is full blended so that a textbook is unnecessary. Also, you have access to CPM. I don't know if they've added you guys to CPM Math 1 yet or not. But yeah, we'll take care of that. At some point over the summer, I'm going to beg the district not to do this until like August. They're going to reset your passwords. If you notice that your password's not working and you know that you're typing it incorrectly, please text me ASAP. Like, I will then need to get new passwords out to every single student. So actually, let's make life easy. If you have a cell phone on you right now, text me your first and last name right now, like just to make life easy. Because if you guys get locked out of your Worthington accounts, I essentially have no way to contact you. So my cell, 740, because I'm from Coshocton, 502-8913. If you just text me your first and last name, then I'll go through later when I'm home and save your guys' contact. But that will help us immensely. And then save me in your phone. Micah Hudson or Mr. Hudson or whatever you want, or just Hudson. I'm perfectly fine if you guys just call me Hudson. It still makes me uncomfortable to be a Mr. So our contact info is also right here. This phone number is different because that's my Google Voice number. When I'm handing out these handouts to like all kinds of people all over the district, I don't like to put my personal cell, but my Google Voice goes to my cell as well. So you can use this 614 number if you want, but the 740 I put on the chalkboard is my direct actual, like that's my number. All right, so format and expectations. We already pretty much know this, but this is a completely blended format. So outside of our class time, we use the learning management system. We're all in Schoology now. Most of this should be like completely what you already know. Course is self-paced. That's the best thing about blended learning. You move at whatever pace you want. You want to finish chapter 5 today, you can finish chapter 5 today. You want to make it take all week or all month, not a good idea, but that's up to you. So Schoology, if you have any questions on that, please let us know. Communication, here's a big one. You can, I get it, we live in this generation, you can contact us at any point. I'm totally fine with like whenever. You wake me up in the middle of the night. That's, you know, some of you guys work. I've been doing a lot of research on like kids going through puberty and brains and everything else, and I get that some of you just work well late at night. Like some of you, that's when your brain is ready to work well. That's also why I don't start our summer class at 8. There's a lot of brain research that says adolescents' brains aren't really ready to work until like 8:30. Really 9 is the best. Like schools should start later. If I could change when schools have their start time, I would. Your brains, because you're going through adolescence, you're going through puberty, actually there's like a circadian rhythm, if you know what that, like your sleep cycle. Most of you probably do great work late in the day, like late at night. But we don't necessarily. And if I go ride 30 miles today, I'm probably going to go to bed at like 10 or 10:30. So when you communicate to us, you need to allow 24 hours at least, really, before expecting a response. So do not send us a communication that you want a response in an hour. Like, do not send us a, I'm working on this now, I need help now. Like, you might get help now. If it's the middle of the day, if I'm home or if I'm here, like, you might get help right now. But you might not. So please start to seek help in those other ways, like Khan Academy or Schoology message boards or a peer in this class. Like it's a pretty good idea if there's somebody in here who you kind of know or you've been on teams before or whatever, maybe exchange contact info with them so you guys can be in touch with each other, or maybe plan like, hey, you want to go to the library, just have like a quiet place to work. Really good habit to get into because that's what you end up doing in college. Like I'm guessing Mrs. Tecklenburg can echo this and Mr. Sherg in the back, but like in college when you have work to do, your dorm room is not necessarily the best place to do work. Your bedroom right now is not probably the best place to do work. If you have siblings or animals or whatever at home, your house may not be the best place to get work done. You might need to remove yourself from there and go to the library, go to the park, come into here to work, whatever. You need to figure out where you're going to work most effectively. This is slightly wrong, so please stick with me with face-to-face sessions. This is where it's slightly wrong. Tuesdays 9 to noon is open for everybody. I kind of wrote this wrong. I do not expect that every single person is going to be here if you have planned to come in on Wednesday or Thursday or whatever else. Like, you need to check in once a week, but it does not have to be Tuesday. And actually, as we talked and looked into, like, how's this going to be most effective, you don't have to be here on Tuesday. Now, we will both be here on Tuesdays. On Wednesday and Thursday, only one of us will be here. Correct me if I'm wrong, but you're Wednesdays and I'm Thursdays. So, if, like, I don't know, if you don't like me or you think I smell or whatever, come on Wednesdays, work with Miss Technical. If you want both of us to be able to get both our brains, come on Tuesday. If you come on Thursday, you're stuck with me. Sorry. Missing for vacation is fine, but we need to know, just so we know you haven't dropped off the mat. Because I know when I go on vacation, most of the time I don't on my phone because I don't want to drop it in the sand. So, if you text me now, I haven't heard from you for like over a week, I might reach out and say like, hey, what's going on? Just checking in. And if I don't get a response in a few days, I'm going to be concerned. Just first off, generally just concerned that I haven't heard from you. But then also, are you on pace? Like, concerned about your academics. So we expect to get a check-in with you once a week. That could be email or Schoology or whatever, but if you need to take assessments, you need to come in. Always, we'll never go till noon. Not even today, we won't go till noon. That's just like our cut time for, first off, that's like when all summer school classes end by. But also because lunch, everything else, you need a ride here by noon. Like, we cannot be hanging out. Now, you're high schoolers. If you want to hang out outside and wait for your ride, if you're walking home, whatever, like, that's all fine. But you can't just chill inside the school and say, like, oh, yeah, my ride won't be here till 1:30. Like, well, you either need to be outside the school or have another plan in place. Office hours, we've already talked a lot about that. I don't know about, are you going to be here at 8 or do you not plan to be until 9?
Probably 8:30.
Okay. So, yeah. So Mrs. Hecklenberg's a coach. So she has to negotiate coaching as well as teaching the summer school course. I'm not, and my wife works a job where she has to leave the house by like 7:15. So I'll be coming in here by 8. So if we're talking Thursdays, I'll be here by 8. But if you're coming in with Miss Hecklenberg, just make sure that you set that time to figure out if she's going to practice in the morning or not. And again, if you're looking at this in Google Sheets, or Google Docs, here's another way to get to that Google Sheets link. Grades. A lot of people care a lot about this. 20% comes from your notes and practice. That's not a lot, but notes and practice are not a lot of it, right? Doing your notes is going through the lessons, and you could straight up copy somebody else's notes. The practice, I give you all of the answers, right? It wouldn't really be fair to make that worth a lot of points. So your chapter tests are worth 65% of your grade, and your final exam is worth 15% of your final grade. So there is a final exam, like all high school math classes. There's a final exam now, and there's also an end-of-course assessment that you will take in the fall when you're back in school. So again, I'll say, in the fall, you'll be pulled out of class, and they'll tell you about it ahead of time. But you'll take a state test when none of your other classmates are, because you have to take an end-of-course assessment for this. Now, if you pass our class, and then somehow, this has never happened, but somehow would not pass the end-of-course assessment from the state, I think you'd have to retake the end-of-course assessment during another testing window, because you have to have a passing grade for those high school end-of-course assessments for math. Any questions from the front of our syllabus? All right, let's flip to the back. Practice work, as we've talked about, is very important. There's no way for you to learn something and know that you've learned it just by going through the notes and having somebody explain it to you. I have had students try that, and they realize very quickly, like, the notes didn't cover everything, and because I didn't practice on my own, I never built that confidence in solving those problems. So do the notes with the video, and then do the practice on your own and check your answers. You should not be taking an assessment or turning anything in unless you've checked it. Your homework, you should be checking on your own so that you can figure out if you need help. And all of that pretty much is said right here. Some alternative resources, just to give you a few to go towards. Khan Academy, always my absolute best favorite. I'm going to show it to you. I'm not even going to ask, is anybody unaware of Khan Academy? So I have some summer courses going through here and everything else. But if I go to my Khan Academy home, this is my home because I'm a teacher. If you go to your Khan, actually, I'll show you this way. Let's make it forget who I am. Now, I would highly advise creating an account if you're going to come on here. It's khanacademy.org. Some people try to go to .com and it doesn't work. Not create an account. You have an account. Because of Worthington, you have an account. You can just go to login, and you can log in with Google. I'm not going to right now because then I'll end up right back where I was. But then your page will look something like this. Then you can go to anything right up here. Math by subject or math by grade. You can go to high school. Or you can just search by specific content. One of the easiest things to do is just type in search by content. But we are this class, this Mathematics 1, which is integrated. So this is their Math 1 page, each of those different strands, and then all the things inside of there. So let's say we're working on slope-intercept formula. Here is what Khan Academy has set up. They've got lessons, they've got practices, they've got quizzes. So I can start a lesson or I can do a practice assignment, and a lot of these. There's a quiz here, then I've got more practice. It's an amazing website. So his videos in SalCon, I stole everything that I do essentially from SalCon. So let's say, I am going to go back here. Let's say I'm struggling on this and I can't figure out how to do this skill. In every practice set that they have, there is a stuck watch a video. So then if there's multiple videos related to this problem, it'll show me all of them. Then it takes you to his chalk docs. And Sal's chalk docs are great. His closed captioning is accurate as well. And he's got a nice, gentle voice. Can lull you into mathematical greatness. You just see everything that he does. So same chalk talk sort of layout that I have. But here's another way that you can get your learning. So this would obviously not directly align with your notes. My videos will directly align with your notes, but Khan Academy is amazing. I would highly advise that for anybody struggling with any mathematics. Then you can check these out on your own. That's pretty much it. We have to be entering grades by July 20th. So if you look at like backward scheduling, we come back to materials. This calendar, one, I find it cool that it is always going to actually say the date. They've written the coding so it changes with the date. I have backwards planned this class for that Friday being the absolute latest day that you can take the final. You should be taking it on the 17th, which this gives you this first week of July as a catch-up week. Okay, so do not plan on that right now. But if needed, if you got to that point, that would be your catch-up week. Or maybe not. Did I not condense them enough? Because there's chapters 9 and 10. That might not be true. Yeah, you're going to need to be doing 11 and 12 somewhere. So never mind. Last year, I had put 3 chapters on a few of the weeks. So I take that back. My apologies for misspeaking. But with how I have this laid out, only 2 chapters a week, which right now a lot of you are actually like on chapter 5 right now. Like a lot of you are ready for that. But if you only follow this pacing, you will have to be working on work that week in July. This needs to be, I need to put in the grades for chapters 11 and 12 somewhere. So they will fall somewhere on your calendar. I'll probably just put them like on this Thursday, something like that. But yeah, so you need to pace that out. Make your own calendar. In the past, students that have been most successful with this class tell me that they determine a way that this is part of their schedule. So like they wake up in the morning and they like maybe, I don't know, actually set an alarm over the summer, maybe. Yeah. Or if you can wake up naturally like before noon, maybe you can do that on your own. And then they said, every day, I just know that from like 9 to 11, I'm working on math. And then if I don't reach the goal that I set for myself for that day, I'll also have to do some work during the afternoon. But I always take a break during lunchtime and like I go do whatever. But like make it part of your schedule. If you keep putting it off and keep putting it off and like, well, I was going to work on math, but now Jacob invited me to go play Fortnite, so I'll do it tomorrow. And then tomorrow, well, I ended up going and riding my bike because it was a really nice day. And then I'll do it this weekend. Well, this weekend, my parents actually made me go to a family reunion. Like, guys, this is what happens. Like, I'm telling you real story from, well, Jacob didn't invite me to play Fortnite. But this is what happens to kids every year. And then they end up weeks behind, and they want to blame their parents Like, well, I was going to do it this weekend, and then Mom made me go. It's not your parents' fault. While they're at work, you need to be working. You need to be doing your math. So make your own calendar. Hold yourself accountable. Face-to-face videos. Every video I've ever recorded from Math 1 is in this folder. So past summer recordings, well, not every, if it's the specific content, but all the way back to summer 2016, all the way back to our first class session there. So that year, just like every year, we essentially go in order. So if I go back to like 2017 and the first class recording, review of the first 4 chapter assessments, which is what we're about to do here in a few minutes. But here is a review of chapter 1 test questions that you can access on your own without us. Review of chapter 2, chapter 3, and chapter 4. So if you've already identified that you need some help on those first 4 chapter assessments, you might check out these videos. Like on a few of these problems, and I don't do every problem for you, but a few of these problems, I'll walk all the way through the solution. I'm okay with that. Because if you still don't know it, we're going to identify that later, and we'll still probably be able to identify it here. But so Phoenix, like here, the school I teach here through the year, Phoenix operates on mastery. I don't normally letter grade. If you don't get it, you go back and you do it again. There is no taking 85%. Summer doesn't have enough time to do that. You kind of need to hold yourself accountable to that. Do I really get it? Even if you can solve that problem, if you still don't get it, make us do our job and explain it further, give you some more problems. There's always multiple versions of the test. So if you work on one and don't get a good grade or whatever, and we're going to talk about revisions in a moment, you can work on the other version and do that as your grade, replace your grade with the other version. You can just choose individual problems to repeat and use those as a revision to bump the grade up. We've got options to help you get to the grade that you would like to have. If you're willing to put in the time, I pretty much will make up any course of action to get you to the grade that you want. So these are really good because this is last year's breakout of the chapter 1, chapter 2, chapter 3, and 4. So I would highly advise checking those out if you want. And again, I got to those from the materials page, face-to-face class videos, which now, today's video is going to go in this folder. But then past summer recordings, and last year would probably be better than 2016. You go there and you go to that first day. That would review the first 4. And then, if you want to check out, you go ahead and start working on chapter 5 and you need some help, go here. See if you need the help. Somebody in the past probably needed that help as well. Questions at this point? I know I'm doing a lot of talking. Okay, so that is that folder. We'll add to this as the summer goes, but that's just extra websites and links and reliable math sources. So if it's in there, that means Mrs. Tecklenburg or myself believe that it's a good resource that you should use. So in that folder right now, there's I need to add to it, but Khan Academy is not even in here because I had wiped out this folder. So PDF Escape, you might just need that if you're messing with PDFs. That's not math specific. GeoGebra was fantastic. I'm going to add Desmos in here. I'm going to add Khan Academy. So I'll work on that today as well. Office hour sign up, all the chapter content. This doesn't mean anything. It's just a placeholder, and neither does this really. That's a placeholder for your grade. Because if I'm gonna have a grade, it has to have a placeholder on here somewhere. Yeah. Any other questions? All right. So today serves as your check-in for the week, since everybody except for Hunter was here. So you do not have to be here any other day this week, but if you would like to sign up for tomorrow or Thursday, you can go ahead and do that right now. If you would like to, I've got some headphones and mice at the back, and I can go find more if we need. Those are our little testing things, so please, if you grab one of those bags, put it back in the bag with the headphones and the mouse together. Please don't just stash them somewhere. My students have gotten really bad at just abandoning things. If you want to work on chapter 5 and be filling in those notes or working on that homework, you can do that. If you're ready for an assessment for chapter 5, you would want to turn in your notes and your homework first to reiterate that point. To take an assessment, chapter 5 and beyond, you turn in your notes and your homework, and then we hand you the assessment. Chapters 1 through 4, you can do wherever and just turn them in when you're done. Revisions. That's kind of like as needed, but your test grade is not final. So if like Mrs. Tecklenburg has a bunch of papers to hand back to people, do not freak out. If you have a grade you don't like, we will work with you to revise it. You can retest and just completely wipe that score away and just take a different form of the test. You can revise and fix problems and regain half credit. So like if you are at a 70 and there's 30 points between there, if you just revise, you could bump it to an 85 by fixing all your errors and working with us. If you want to be higher than that, then you'd want to retest and do like a different form or something like that. Does that make sense? And I would advise before retesting, doing some more practice. And you could retest on any chapter at any time. So say you got your grades back for chapters 1 through 4 today. 2 weeks from now, you could say, hey, can I retest on chapter 3? I feel a lot more confident on that content at this point. I would not rush to retest on stuff.
Yeah, and I would say from the chapter 1 through 4 assessments that we have had, again, if it's a grade that you're not used to seeing, don't panic. This is obviously a new format, chapter 1 through 4. You didn't have much direct instruction on it. So if it is something that you want to revise or just retake, that is fine. But know that you will need to put in some work before you do that. Okay, so on Schoology, you'll want to go to the chapter 1 or 2 or 3 or 4. Look at the examples or the notes that are in there. There's extra practice you can do. So expect to put in some extra work on anything chapters 1 through 4 that you may need to retake. Or that's what we are here for. Ask questions on specific things maybe that went wrong on those whenever you receive. And that's for any chapter assessment. But today, particularly for chapters 1 through 4 as you get them back.
I am going to link that folder to make your life easier. I knew it wouldn't. Now that's just to a link inside of Schoology, but so you can get there quickly. And this is what we use the updates page for a lot, is like, hey, we've realized there's a way that we can make your life a bit easier. If you just go click on that, that'll jump you straight to that page that I was just showing you guys, where those videos are housed. So I know sometimes it's a bit intimidating to ask questions whole group, but at this point, if you have questions that you would like to see done or get help on or whatever that I can do up here on the smartboard, I would love to field any of those situations. So I'm going to stop this recording and give it a title, and then start a new recording for review of chapters 1 through 4 and see if anybody wants that help. But again, you can check out the videos from the previous years, because I bet it's probably the same questions. Any other general questions before we close this video and we're good with that? Yes?
So we're supposed to watch the videos while we're doing the notes?
Yes. Yep, they guide you through the notes. So it's as if I was teaching it to you, but I did it 2 years ago and I taught it to my computer. So, yeah, from my office. So occasionally you might hear like weird noises or whatever in my videos. I have 4 giant dogs at home. So when I record videos at home, it's kind of hard for me to have a completely quiet space. And a few of them I made down in South Carolina in my brother-in-law's office, which is much nicer than mine. So I get it. Y'all are like the YouTube generation, but you know, understand that I'm just trying to provide some resources to help you guys. I do not really care that much about video quality or tags or things like that. It's just there as a raw, like, here's a math lesson, you know, fill out your notes. You got anything else to add, Mr. Tecklenburg? We are your resource, okay? We're here to help you, but when you're outside of class, it's on you. Like, you got to take the ownership, and if you need us, you got to reach out. All right. Thank you, guys. Let us know what else you need. If you need the chapters 1 through 4 assessments, grab those out of the cabinets. Again, chapter 6, I would maybe advise that just everybody go grab one of each of those packets, because this week you should be working on chapter 6. So on the back table back there where the Kleenexes are and stuff, I would advise that every person get one of those packets, like right now, if you want to take my advice. Yeah.